In this video, I want to solve the quadratic equation 12x plus 9 plus 4x squared equals 0. The first order of business here would be to put this equation in the standard form so it looks like this: ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Even if we're going to solve by factoring, we like to start by getting the equation in that standard form. So in this case, it's just a matter of rearranging, and this is all addition, so as long as we keep everything positive, we're in good shape. So put the squared term first, and then the x to the first term, and then the constant. So just rearranging the terms. Now, we'd like to consider factoring. So if we're going to factor this, we would, and I'm thinking in terms of AC method because I have a coefficient of x squared, so I don't know about guess and check maybe when you have a number like 4 in front of your squared term. So with that AC method, which I used in a previous video, we look for two numbers whose product is a times c, which in this case is 4 times 9, so 36, and whose sum is b, which in this case is positive 12. So if you think about numbers that multiply to give you 36, something that comes to mind might be 6 times 6. So 6 times 6 is 36, and 6 plus 6 is 12. So if you can find numbers that do that, then we can solve this by factoring. And the way to do it is expand this middle term using the two numbers that you just found. So in this case, that means instead of writing 12x, write 6x plus 6x. So that's still 12x. Leave the other terms alone. So we've still got this 4x squared in front and plus 9 on the back. And now factor by grouping. So look at the first two terms. Common factor between these first few terms, or the greatest common factor I should say, would be 2x. If we factor out 2x, then what's left would be 2x from this first term. Plus, if you divide out 2x here, you're left with just 3. Okay, looking at the second two terms, try to identify the greatest common factor, which in this case is positive 3. So if I divide out 3, I'm left with 2x here, if I divide by 3. And if I divide by 3 here, I have positive 3. So here's when you know that factoring by grouping is going to work, when these factors match. And so I can factor out 2x plus 3, and then look at what's left. I have the 2x here from the first part of this sum, and then plus 3 from the second part of this sum. So this time the expression actually factored as 2x plus 3 quantity squared. I mean, that's another way we could write this. And so I guess now technically I could solve using that square root property. Take the square root of both sides. Now I don't need a plus or minus. Square root of 0 is 0. And I don't need to write plus 0, negative 0. I can just write 0. So this is a quadratic equation that's going to actually have only one solution. Or sometimes we call it a repeated solution. It's kind of like you get the same solution twice because we have the same factor twice. But anyway, so we want to isolate x, so I would subtract 3 from both sides. And so that gives me 2x equals negative 3. Divide both sides by 2, and then there's your solution. X equals negative 3/2. Final answer on this one.